Welcome to another edition of Guru, Geography Revision Rocks. Today we're going to be looking at the Japanese tsunami. Before I do that though, two tectonic plates knocked into each other. One of them said, "Sorry, my fault." So behind me, I said earlier, there's a picture of the Japanese tsunami. So what exactly do we need to know about this Japanese tsunami and how might that information be used in an exam? Well, the Japanese tsunami for us is a case study, alright, or an example that we need to use in our exams. We would know when we need to use it because the question might say using a case study of or using an example of a tsunami. And in that case we would then think, right, I learned about the Japanese tsunami, that's the case study I'm going to use. And there's a couple of different ways you might be asked to use the information. One, you might be asked to talk about the effects of the tsunami, or two, you might be asked to talk about the responses to the tsunami. The effects are the things that the tsunami caused. For example, buildings were damaged, people lost their lives, homes were flooded, people were made homeless. Well, the responses are the ways we responded to that tsunami, things we did during it and afterwards. So for example, sirens went off, people received text messages, people went to higher ground, buildings were rebuilt. However, because it's a case study, we can't just remember things generally, we can't just remember general effects or general responses. What we want to do and what we would like to do is remember our specifics. Remember, our specifics are what I call our facts and figures. Really, really important to get good grades, good marks on a case study question. We can't remember everything though. We can't remember 36 facts and figures, we can't remember 74 specifics, it's not going to happen. But I would suggest with the Japanese tsunami, we want to remember 4 effects and 4 responses at the very least. So here are some example facts and figures that you could use in your exam. So we've got our facts and figures, our specifics, our effects and our responses. But how and when do we use them in the exam? Well, the key here is reading the question. If you know what the question is wanting, what it's asking, then we know whether to use our effects or our responses. So behind me, here is an example case study question, or an example question where we might use information about the Japanese tsunami. So 3 things that are really important when you're reading this question. Number 1, it says use a case study. Therefore, we need to use a case study. Secondly, it says describe. Because it says describe, we don't need to explain. Therefore, we do not need to use the word because. We only use the word because in an explain question. The second or third thing that we need to point out from this question is where it says effects. Therefore, we are only talking about the effects. We do not need to include any specifics about the responses. So here is how I might answer this question. So I'll start off saying which case study I'm using. In the Japanese tsunami 2011, there were 18,000 deaths. So I don't need to write any more than that. I don't need to say why that happened. I don't need to say why they died, because remember, the question was just to describe. It wasn't an explain. There was no because needed. The tsunami also damaged lots of buildings. For example, 114,000 homes were destroyed. You'll notice I used another fact or figure, 114,000. I didn't just say homes were destroyed. It's really important with the case study question to be specific. This caused 400,000 people to be made homeless. A nuclear power station was also damaged when the tsunami flooded it, which meant some people were without power. And that's all you need to write. Thank you for watching another edition of Guru, Geography Revision Rocks. Oh, hello, come in.
Hello, Mr. Spencer.
Oh, hi, Miss Solomidis.
Hello.
Do you know what? You knocking at the door just reminded me of something.
Go on.
Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Sue.
Sue who?
Tsunami.